Part 1 of the IELTS speaking exam is designed to be a warm-up. The examiner will ask you about familiar topics like your studies, work, home and hobbies. Here are some useful tips for this part. Tip 1. Be natural and fluent. Don't try to use difficult vocabulary. Focus on speaking clearly and at a natural pace. Tip 2. Extend your answers. Give at least 2 to 3 sentences for each answer. A simple yes or no isn't enough. Explain why you feel that way. Example, instead of, yes, I like reading, say, yes, I'm quite keen on reading, especially historical fiction, as it's a great way to relax after a long day. Tip 3. Maintain eye contact and smile. Show confidence and engagement. Okay, let's watch the first part. After each part, we will focus on some useful vocabulary.
Good afternoon, my name is Mark. Could you please state your full name and candidate number?
Good afternoon, Mark. My name is Ana Silva, and my candidate number is A2589.
Thank you, Anna. Now, in the first part of the test, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about your hometown. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Curitiba, which is a large city in the south of Brazil. I've actually been living there my entire life, and I'm quite fond of it.
What is the most interesting thing about Curitiba?
Well, I'd have to say its impressive public transport system. It was one of the first cities in the world to implement a dedicated bus rapid transit system, and it's something the city is very proud of. It really contributes to a high quality of life here.
Let's move on to talk about computers. How often do you use a computer?
Almost on a daily basis, I'd say. I use my laptop for all my university work, like writing essays and attending online lectures. Also, in the evenings, I often use my desktop computer for entertainment, such as gaming or streaming videos.
Do you think it's important for people to learn how to code?
Absolutely. I believe that coding literacy is becoming increasingly important in the modern world, not just for programmers. It teaches you logical thinking and problem-solving skills, which are valuable in virtually any profession, regardless of whether you're working directly with software development.
Okay, that was part 1 of the speaking exam. Let's look at some of the useful vocabulary and phrases that Anna used. I'm quite fond of it. A great phrase to replace the basic, I like it. Impressive public transport system. Using strong adjectives like impressive shows a wider range of vocabulary. Quality of life. This is a formal, natural-sounding phrase for describing a good standard of living. On a daily basis. A stronger alternative to every day. Coding literacy. This shows the ability to use subject-specific terminology. Increasingly fundamental. This improves the answer, meaning it's becoming more and more essential. Regardless of whether. This is used to connect ideas and show advanced grammatical range. Part 2 of the speaking exam is your opportunity to speak continuously for up to 2 minutes. You will be given a task card and 1 minute to prepare. Tip 1. Use your preparation time wisely. Quickly write down a few key nouns, such as people, places, things, and adjectives to use. Don't write full sentences. Tip 2. Structure your talk. Follow the points on the card, but also try to structure your answer into a past, present, and future format. Tip 3. Use connectors. Use phrases to move smoothly from one point to the next, like moving on to, or what I found particularly interesting was. Tip 4. Tell a story. A personal narrative is easier to talk about fluently and helps you sound natural. Okay, let's watch the second part. After it finishes, we will focus on some useful vocabulary.
Now, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to prepare, and you can make some notes if you wish. Describe an item you bought that was difficult to use at first. You should say what the item was, why you bought it, what was difficult about using it, and explain how you eventually managed to use it well. Your minute is up. Please begin speaking now.
Okay, I'd like to talk about a piece of technology I purchased last year, which was a professional-grade digital camera. I'd always been interested in photography, so I decided to invest in a camera that would allow me to move beyond just simple smartphone snapshots. What really drove the purchase was wanting to capture high-quality images of nature during my hiking trips. Initially, I found the learning curve to be quite steep. The sheer number of settings was overwhelming. Things like aperture, shutter speed, and ISO all had to be balanced simultaneously. I was trying to manually adjust everything, and my photos were constantly overexposed or blurry. I remember feeling a bit frustrated and even thought about returning it because it seemed far too complex for an amateur like me. However, I was really determined to master it. The way I finally managed to use it effectively was by enrolling in an online beginner's course. That course demystified the technical terms, and more importantly, I started watching tutorial videos showing real-world examples. By practicing consistently and focusing on just 1 or 2 settings at a time, it finally began to click. Now I use it with confidence, and I'm thrilled with the results. It was a worthwhile investment in the end.
Thank you. Do you still take a lot of photographs?
Yes, I do. It's become one of my main hobbies.
Okay, that was part 2 of the speaking exam. Let's look at some of the useful vocabulary and phrases that Anna used. Professional-grade digital camera. This is more descriptive than just a camera. Move beyond simple smartphone snapshots. The phrase move beyond is excellent for showing purpose and a desire for improvement. I found the learning curve to be quite steep. This is a natural-sounding and common way to describe something difficult to learn. Overwhelming. This is used to express strong feeling of not knowing what to do. I was determined to master it. This shows a resolve or commitment to succeed. Demystified the technical terms. This means to make a difficult or confusing subject easy to understand. It finally began to click. This means it became clear or I started to understand it. A worthwhile investment. This ends the story on a strong, reflective note. Part 3 is a two-way discussion that explores abstract ideas related to the Part 2 topic. The questions will be more challenging and require you to analyse, speculate, and justify your opinions. Tip 1. Paraphrase the question. Don't just repeat the examiner's words. Start your answer by rephrasing the question slightly to show a flexible use of language. Example. Question. Why do you think young people are so attached to their phones? Answer. It seems to me that the reliance of the younger generation on mobile devices can be attributed to several factors. Tip 2. Use structure and connectors. Use clear phrases to present different sides of an argument. Introducing a point. In my view, it seems to me that... Adding a point. Furthermore, on the other hand... Concluding. To sum up, ultimately... Tip 3. Speculate. Use modal verbs and phrases for discussing future trends or hypothetical situations. For example, it's likely that could, may, I would imagine. Okay, let's watch the third part. After it finishes, we will focus on some useful vocabulary.
We've been talking about items that were difficult to use.
Now I'd like to discuss the broader issue of technology and learning. Firstly, how has technology changed the way people acquire new skills in your country?
That's a very interesting question. I'd say the most profound shift is the accessibility of information. In the past, learning was restricted to formal institutions, but now, thanks to the internet and online learning platforms, people can upskill or develop completely new expertise at their own pace. This has fundamentally democratized education, making it possible for anyone with an internet connection to learn a new language or even a professional skill like data analysis.
Do you think that as technology becomes more intuitive, people will lose their ability to deal with complex problems?
That is a valid concern. While technology certainly makes things easier, for example, smartphones simplify navigation, I don't think we'll lose our critical thinking entirely. However, there is a risk of over-reliance. If we depend on technology to solve every minor issue, we may become less adept at simple problem-solving without it. Ultimately, educators need to ensure that technology is used to augment, rather than replace, core cognitive skills.
Some people argue that technology in the classroom is a distraction. What is your opinion?
I can certainly see the merit in that argument. Distractions from social media are an unavoidable reality. Nevertheless, the educational benefits far outweigh the drawbacks, provided there are clear rules. Technology offers interactive learning tools that can cater to different learning styles, like virtual reality field trips or collaborative online projects. The key is in effective management and integrating it thoughtfully into the curriculum, not just using it for its own sake.
Thank you, Anna. That is the end of the speaking test.
Okay, that was part 3 of the speaking exam. Let's look at some of the useful vocabulary and phrases that Anna used. Profound shift. This means a significant or deep change. Accessibility of information. This is a formal way to describe how easily data can be obtained. Upskill. This is a single word that means to teach a person new skills. At their own pace. This phrase is used to talk about flexible timing. Valid concern. This shows the ability to weigh different sides of an argument. Over-reliance. This is the noun form of rely too much. Ultimately. This is used to introduce a final conclusion or most important point. Augment. This means to make something greater by adding to it, a sophisticated verb choice. Far outweigh the drawbacks. This is excellent for presenting an argument where the benefits are clearly greater than the problems. If you want to score higher than 7 on the speaking exam, use the techniques mentioned in this video and try to use some of the vocabulary Anna used. You can find the transcript for the video in the description, and you can scan this QR code for more practice on some of the language. There is also a link to these exercises in the description. Good luck in the exam!